My bill with this company was $44,000 a month. Wow. 44 grand a month. And it poorly did what it was supposed to do. So when Robin, the co-founder of HighLevel, said, hey, I've got this software in beta, like when I saw it, I just about freaked out. I was jumping around. I was like, this thing is amazing.
Recently, I came on a sales process that really works well for me. For me, that's webinars. What I moved to was a one-to-many. And I thought, if I can get 3 people on a sales call and give them a presentation, that's much better than doing a one-to-one.
HighLevel has said, we want you guys to be our sales arm, right? So we want to make this good for the affiliates. And once people start making money on the platform, they rarely ever quit because them and their clients are super happy. If you want the shortcut, which I think is smart to do in today's age, you should find somebody who's done exactly what you want to do and go learn from them.
Welcome back to the A-Lister Show. On the A-Lister Show, we bring you movers and shakers, entrepreneurs, people doing interesting things, and today's guest is no different. I'm honored today to have here Robb Bailey, who is the highest grossing GoHighLevel affiliate of all time. And he was basically the very first affiliate on the platform. And so if you know about GoHighLevel, you know it's an amazing story and they're really just on a rocket ship. And I'm really happy to bring in today somebody that has intimate knowledge of how to grow an agency, how to grow a SaaS company, and how to grow an affiliate company in the GoHighLevel space. And so much knowledge here. This is going to be an episode that provides a lot of value to anybody that's looking to grow their agency or build any kind of business, really. There's going to be something in here for everybody. It's going to be about the true entrepreneurship story. So without further ado, Robb, how are you doing today?
I'm great, brother. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Man, I'm so excited to have you here today. I want to first kind of give the audience a sense of who you are and what you've accomplished. So just a couple of bullet points of what you've done in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a 2-time agency owner. I've got a ton of experience in that agency space, mostly helping local businesses. And then, so after the sale of my second agency, that's right around the time that HighLevel was just coming out of beta. So I knew Rob and Alex, one of the co-founders, through the agency world. We were friends and kind of collaborated a little bit here and there. And he asked me to join their beta group. And that turned into them asking me to sell HighLevel as the first affiliate, which I did prolifically for the first couple of years and still continuing to do so today.
Awesome. Let's take a step back because some people might not even know what GoHighLevel is. So how would you explain the GoHighLevel to somebody that doesn't know what it is?
Sure. Okay. So most people have heard of like Salesforce or HubSpot. So if you look at what Salesforce does for enterprise level companies and what HubSpot does for mid-market companies, HighLevel is that same concept, but for small, medium-sized businesses, so SMBs, and the agencies and consultants who help local businesses. Mm-hmm. So the small and medium-sized business space, the SMB space, which includes a lot of local businesses, is usually, it's a little bit different because most smaller businesses can't afford to have inside teams and staff. And so what they do is they usually rely on agencies or consultants to help them with that segment of their business. So it's very common for those size businesses to rely on an expert who's not an employee of their business, right? So the genius of HighLevel is that they made it white label. So whereas before, consultants and agencies were referring their clients out to other software platforms, HighLevel made it white label available, which means if I'm the agency owner, I can put my logo, my branding on it, and run my own multi-billion-dollar SaaS platform for just a few $100s a month and keep all the revenue from my client base instead of sending it out to some other company and, just to have the client end up paying that software company forever.
Yeah.
So it's a game changer. It doesn't sound like when most people hear that, they're like, oh, it kind of sounds cool, but they don't really understand the power of it until they actually get on the platform and they go, oh my gosh, I totally get this. This is a game changer. This thing has completely changed my business and my life. I mean, I hear that all the time. I just heard it yesterday. A lady that I got on the platform who's incredible at what she does. She's been working on another platform for years and years and years. Her clients asked her to start building stuff on HighLevel for them. And she finally made the move, and she cannot believe how lucrative, how easy, how game-changing it is compared to other platforms that are not white labeled. So it's a game changer for most people who try it.
I still remember the first time I ever came across HighLevel as someone that does marketing for both myself and other companies. I saw it and I was like, holy crap, this does everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
And it's such an incredible story of the company, like Sean Clark and the whole team over there. I mean, I have never seen a software company that puts out features at a pace that these guys do.
It's incredible.
And they really like take all of the feedback from the community very seriously. I mean, and Sean Clark, who doesn't need to be as active as he is so active in all of the groups, and he's active in the customer engagement. And I think that cycle of customer, like the true lean type of project, startup cycle, where they put something out, they get feedback, and they implement, and they're just constantly making amazing. I have other softwares that I use to run my company, and they haven't put out a new update they put an update every 6 months.
Yeah.
And these guys are pumping out updates of high-level features like every week.
It's daily, actually.
Daily.
Yeah. So I started a newsletter called GHL News just for that purpose, because it's really hard to keep up.
It can be, yeah.
It can be. And not every feature that they release is going to be immediately used by everyone, but they have a product focus. So they are not a marketing led company. They are a product driven company, meaning they want the product to be such a no brainer for everybody to use, and they want to listen to their customers and take that feedback and make the product better at such a rapid rate that the product does the talking for itself. So they don't have any marketing, or they don't have a marketing team. I think they have 1 or 2 marketing people in the whole company, and they're now over a $2 billion valuation as of today, probably higher. And so they've relied on their affiliates. So this is what I'm just giving you some things that make them unique, right, to the marketplace. Their affiliates are their biggest salespeople. Yep. So like people like me who go out there and spread the good word, so to speak, and they cut their affiliates in on, their affiliate program's great. It's
amazing.
It pays for the lifetime of the referrer.
It's unheard of.
It's unreal. Yeah. So it really is making a big difference in the marketplace, and they're running this incredibly lean model. Like they have, I think, 400 developers or over 400 developers at this point. So they hire the developers that they need to churn out all those feature updates and everything else. And so most weekdays it's between 5 and 12 new features that they ship.
Wow.
And announce to the community. That's a lot.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest uses that people are going to use this for is, so there's kind of different sides, so many different ways that you can use it. So the high level, what you can use is, first of all, you can use that as a business owner, where you can say, I want to use this to manage my customers, to supercharge my marketing campaigns. But then it becomes really handy for agencies to help fulfill their clients. Yeah. So they can use, I hadn't even heard of what a SaaS company was really like in this context until I started working with HighLevel. And then I interviewed a guy named Sean Greenway, and he talked about the differences between a SaaS company and an agency. Yes. Can you talk to us what the difference between a SaaS company and an agency is? Yeah, for sure. So in the agency space, the typical model, and this is what I largely built my first agency around, is mostly like a trade for time, a trade of time for money. So, and I know Sean personally, he's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. And he gets it for sure. But the biggest difference is that when you're an agency owner, typically a client hires you and you are saying, okay, for this amount of deliverables, you agree to pay me this amount of money. And I'm largely trading my time and expertise for money. Okay. With the SaaS model, what you're saying is, I'm going to be the platform that you use to get the results. So instead of sending you away to this tech stack where you're pasting together like 3 to 11 tools, mine does everything that you probably need. Okay. And you're going to pay me to build all these results around the platform that I am providing to you. So the difference in that is, like, just to give you a quick example, like most agencies in the SMB space, their churn rate with clients is super high. It's like, depending on the stats that you read, it's between 1 and 2 months. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard that. Yeah. So I hear 2 months, sometimes 3, but
it's like 1 to 3 months.
Personal experience, 1 to 3 months is very
right.
typical.
Like, so that's like not Like that's well known in the agency space, right? And of course, there's examples where there's some are longer and some are shorter, of course. But that's a really, really low. Like if that's your business model, man, if you lose one client, you're immediately in the red. You barely broke even probably with that one client before they quit. So what the SaaS model allows you to do is to build on top of a platform that you own and control effectively. And the thing that it does is that it keeps your customers engaged in the results that you are responsible for a longer period of time. So I'll tell you a quick story around this if you want. So in my second agency, and we'll get into the differences between my first and second agency here in a bit, I guess. But in my second agency, at its peak, we helped 535 gym studios in about 22 months in that agency before I sold it. And so have you ever heard of Gym Launch, for example?
Of course, yeah.
Alex Ramosi? Yep. So he was like in his breakthrough, he was just like starting to dominate the market, and we came out of nowhere and we're like number 2 just below him. And he was a little bit scratching his head, because he'd never heard of us. Me and my partner had never been in this niche before. And one of the reasons that we exploded was because I'd figured out something that he had also figured out, which was that if you combine software with a service, that 1-2 punch is very powerful, because as the agency, you can get more leverage because the tool gives you time leverage essentially and capacity leverage, meaning, for every one employee, you can help 50, 100 clients if you combine it with the software. And so we were both kind of like independently arriving at that same conclusion. I didn't really know him when I started.
Do you know him now?
Yeah, I know him a bit.
Cool.
Yeah. And I've got a funny story. So he called me after he'd heard that I sold my agency, and actually called me after and was like, so like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, I thought, like we were kind of competitors, like you're being cool now. He was like, he's very gracious about it, but he's a competitor. And, but the interesting thing about it is that when I sold my agency, I had about 225 active clients that were paying for software in the package that we rolled up together. So we were using a two-way text messaging platform at the time that was terrible. It had no agency features. It was $200 a location for most of the clients we were using. But we needed it to do all the two-way text messaging to get the client the results, right? So that's the software with the service part, right? And when I sold that agency, guess how many people went with me and bounced off that platform?
How many?
0. And they all remained software customers with the company that I had signed them up through, right? And so that deal kind of fell apart. They were like, if you're not actively promoting, we're not going to pay you as an affiliate anymore. So I wasn't even getting an affiliate commission for bringing them. My bill with this company was $44,000 a month. Wow. $44,000 a month. And it poorly did what it was supposed to do, right? It was still worth it for us to do it. But compared to what HighLevel does, it's like, so when Robin, the co-founder of HighLevel, said, hey, I've got this software in beta. I know you've got all these clients. Will you test it out and see what you think? I said, well, what does it do? And the first thing he said was two-way text messaging. I was like, stop. Does it have agency features? Like, I don't want to hear about anything else, right? Does it have an agency dashboard? Yes. And then he's like, let me show you the conversation stream. Because at the time, the problem with my model was that I had to hire a bunch of people to sit there and manually log in and out
of each account,
oh my goodness, and check the messages and then go back to the end and see who responded.
$44,000 a month.
Dude, it was mind-numbing work, and I could barely keep that together because people would just get burned out on it, So he's like, it has an agency dashboard, and the conversation stream will help you execute some of the strategies you have a lot better. And if you know Rob and Alex, he's very understated. Like when I saw it, I just about freaked out. I was jumping around. I was like, this thing is amazing. So I became their top evangelist in like 10 minutes, And so if you stop for a moment, and this is the lesson that I learned around this, and this is the thing where I hope that the light bulb comes on for people. If you're going to build the relationship with all those clients, and you know that the service they're probably going to churn out of, right, in 1 to 3 months, but there's something that they will pay forever for, proverbially forever, like years instead of months. to keep getting the results that they're getting. And that revenue is coming to you. The HighLevel plan for unlimited locations and unlimited clients is $300 a month. So what that meant for my agency is if HighLevel had existed back then, before I sold it, I would have not only pocketed the $44,000 a month, so $500,000 a year, minus the $300 a month from HighLevel. That's a pretty awesome trade-off. And not only would have had all that revenue fall to my bottom line in profit, but when I sold my agency, I would have gotten a 8 to 12x higher multiple.
Much higher multiple.
And people are doing that with HighLevel now.
Yeah.
Shangri is a great example. Like there's a guy, his name's Matt Coffey, just sold his agency. He used to work with one of the product manager for HighLevel, Chase Buckner. He just sold his agency and he got an amazing multiple for it.
Wow.
Right. And I keep hearing these stories of people and I'm seeing it and I'm like, I might not even be sitting here with you.
Yeah. You know? If you got an extra, I don't know how many millions.
Yeah. So, but that's the key takeaways. Like if you're going to already do all that work anyway to build up your client roster, don't you want the thing that seems like a utility bill so that they keep paying you instead of sending them away to someone else?
100%.
You know, and it's a good deal. Like most software companies, when you add a customer, they're looking to shoot for like a 10 to 20x valuation on that customer. So if you do that math and you look at your 10% affiliate commission that they're giving you, you're like, dude, you guys are getting rich off of me, basically. Like, come on, like sweeten the pot a little bit. And so with most software companies, they don't understand that. HighLevel has said, we want you guys to be our sales arm, right? So we want to make this good for the affiliates, a no-brainer for the people who white label our software. And once people start making money on the platform, they rarely ever quit because them and their clients are super happy. Yeah. Right. So that's kind of that's the power of this thing. Yeah. Right. HighLevel's coined a client who white labels their software a SaaSpreneur. Mm-hmm. There's some SaaSpreneurs, there's over a dozen, and there's probably more now. I usually hear once a year at the big summit in October, the updated stats. But at one point, there was several SaaSpreneurs doing over $1 million a year. It was in the dozens in annual recurring revenue through the HighLevel platform. That's not counting any outside billing that they do. Sometimes people bill outside of the platform. But of the stuff that they can see, incredible. This is life-changing freedom, time, and money. Absolutely. For most people running this model.
Yeah. So before we started today, you were talking a little bit about the story of two agencies, right? One agency, I don't know if you called it a failure, but you said there was challenges.
It was a failure.
But it was 7 figures.
Yep.
And then you took your learnings from that, and then you started your second. So tell us the tale of two agencies, if you will.
Yeah, the tale of two agencies, and I'm only telling this story because other people have told me it's helpful. Because I both have experienced this the mistakes that I'm about to describe firsthand. So I know the mistakes, right? Because I lived them, and I know how frustrated I was and how poor I was and how time poor I was, but also to contrast how powerful the difference in the model that you run in your agency is, because that was the biggest thing. It wasn't for that I put more effort into my second agency. It wasn't that I had incredible new skills in my second agency. I was just working a better model.
Right.
And a lot of people who are new they push that to the side and they go, nope, hard work, effort, skill building, knowing everything that my tech can do. Those are the things that will get me to the next level. And that's just not true in my experience. So my first agency, I was actually one of the first HubSpot partners. And my wife had worked for an offline agency forever. And she was like, you should really be going after bigger clients because they have bigger budgets. I was like, cool, that makes sense to me. And she was working with big clients, like corporate clients in her agency. And the amount of money being flung around in there and the spend budget was just, so high. And I had a passion for helping local businesses. And so I was like, well, I want to do that, but for the little guy. So I got to kind of like figure this out, right? So we ended up helping some bigger brands and some local businesses and kind of everything in between. But at the end of the day, there was two huge problems. Everything we did was a trade of time for money. And if our client said jump, we said how high, meaning we let them dictate our scope of work, essentially. So we did SEO, website development, website design, content marketing, marketing automation, social media. It's just like I mean, after I shut that agency down, my business partner then and I woke up one day and we're like, dude, we've been at this for 3 years and we would make more money working at McDonald's as a manager. No lie, for the time that we put in.
Right.
And at the time I was just starting to have a family. We had our first baby and, we're trying to have a second one. And I'm like, dude, we can't be sleeping under the desk anymore on a pizza box and an empty cans of beer. Right. Like I gotta be home, and I gotta be present for my kids and things like that. And he was much younger, but he was also like, yeah, this is not what I signed up for. So, excuse me. So he, at the end of the day, wanted out as well. And we just ended up dissolving that agency. And I still remember to this day, there was 2 memorable moments that I think helped me make the shift. The first one was I held it together. I was trying to be strong for my employees and my business partner and everything. And I was kind of like the leader of that agency. And I remember our lease, we had to try and get out of a 5-year lease, and we were only like 2 years in. And I was like, we have to market this thing to get out of it. So we have to find a sublessee or subleaser, whatever you want to call that. And so we made a YouTube video, of course. And my business partner was on the camera, and I was walking around basically like a real estate agent would, talking about how awesome it is and how good of a deal it is and stuff. And it was a good deal. But I went home that night. So we did the video and all that was fine. And I went home that night and just for some reason the action of doing that and then publicly putting that online, it really got to me. I was like, the reality of it hit me. And so I don't cry that often, but I broke down and cried in front of my wife. And I was like, dude, I feel like I let everyone down. I feel like I let you down. I feel like I let our baby down, my business partner, my employees, my clients. I just feel like a total failure, And she's like, well, maybe you should go get a job because you were working so hard and you were doing good work for these clients. So your chops are there and your effort is there. I was like, no. I was like, I would be miserable in a job. It feels like going backwards to me. Give me 3 months to figure this out. So I call that a 7-figure agency failure because it looked good on the outside, right? We had this beautiful office. We had good clients, proud of the work we did. But if we had one client quit, we were in the red, and that would swallow up all of the profit from the previous 3 to 5 months that we'd worked so hard to earn. If I lost 2 clients, I was taking money out of my pocket to put it back in the business. I had to lead every single client that we had to, if we got a yes, like a sale, I'd have to lead the charge on getting that client the result. There was nobody in my business that could work independently of me, right? So these are all big problems.
Yes.
Problems of scale, problems of profit, problems of burnout. I mean, all the things, right? So, but I had very much this, I can do it on my own mentality. I'll figure it out. I'm smart enough. And so I had to eat a giant slice of humble pie, and a friend of mine, Mike Cooch, I actually just had lunch with him yesterday. Shout out to Mike Cooch. Brilliant business guy, been in the agency game for a long time, successful exit of a couple agencies. He had just moved to San Diego, and he didn't really know me. He was pretty gracious and took a lunch meeting with me. And I said, hey, can I buy you lunch? I'm just really in a tough spot. And you seem to know this kind of to know these things. So I go to lunch with him. We build a little rapport and actually have a lot in common, and ended up becoming friends. But he told me that day, he's like, look, if you want to help local businesses, there's one guy you need to go see, and his name's Billy Jean.
Yeah.
And so at the time, Billy Jean was
he's in San Diego, isn't he?
Yeah, he's downtown.
I had to go see him.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's the homie. Shout out to Billy Jean. So he was like, this is when Billy's team was really small and he was just getting started, but he was crushing it, doing like $250,000 a month, working for like all local businesses like Orange Theory, Massage Envy, things like that, like franchises.
Yeah.
Crushing it. And he goes, what I would do if I was you is I would find the person. This is still the best advice I've ever gotten to date in business, period. And I tell people this all the time. It's worth noting. If you want the shortcut, which I think is smart to do in today's day and age, you should find somebody who's done exactly what you want to do and go learn from them. Look at exactly what you want to do. And that's who Billy was for me. Go look at his YouTube. If they've written a book, buy the book. Go, buy their course. Like hire them as a mentor. Whatever they've got, like go and just shut everything else out, right? because the specificity matters versus what most people try to do is like, there's like 10 to 10,000 things that they're receiving inputs from, and they Frankenstein a strategy together. They just pick and choose the things that they like best out of that. Well, the problem with that is they don't see all the other things that go behind it, and they're just cherry picking, right?
Yeah.
So Billy told me, it's 5 months, it's this amount, it's 3 months, it's this amount, and I'm going to drag you to results. The only thing that I'm asking you to do is to do exactly what I say for a full 3 months. Don't question the strategy. Don't ask questions. Just freaking do it. And my team's going to like do some of it for you, like with you. So by the end of that 3 months, I was doing like 30 grand a month already. Wow. And the difference between what I was doing previously and what Billy had taught me to do was I productized my service. I only had one package for sale for one price. And it was focused around getting a client one specific result. And that's how he'd scaled. So he's like, every Orange Theory client we have, it's the same ad in a different market with the same landing page that's customized to their location, but all the copy, the offer, the video, everything is the same. And so he's like, this is how I get economies of scale. And this is how everybody's getting such good results, because that, like, it's very easy for someone to see like their peer getting results and they go, I have the exact same business as them. Can Billy help me get the same results too? Right? Like his name just started to spread. So he's getting business out of seemingly nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. People just phoning him up saying, how much is it I want to buy right now? And so that ended up happening to me too. That's how we fell in the fitness niche. I helped a bunch of different types of clients, and I ended up having like 3 to 5 gyms in that mixture of niches. And our name started to spread, and we decided to build a business off of that niche.
Wow.
That second agency, we had more kids. I spent so much more time at home. We went to the beach anytime we wanted. It was easy to hire because I could clearly describe the vision.
Yeah.
Our clients were way better. And we got to say no to the things that we didn't want to do, that I kind of knew wouldn't work anyways. So we were like, look, as a small business, if I can't bring you customers, this isn't worth doing. So no, we're not going to do blogging for you. No, we're not going to send an email broadcast newsletter. No, we're not going to do all this other crazy stuff you see your competitors doing. We're going to drive some new customers in your business starting tomorrow.
Wow.
And that was very powerful. Like, it was the biggest aha moment I've ever had in the agency space was, so you get known for one thing, you offer one thing, you have one price, and your sales conversations start flowing like it's crazy. You're just like, yeah, here's the deal. What questions can I answer for you? There's like almost no sales involved. Mm-hmm. It's like you just start telling stories. Well, I just helped someone who looks just like you get this result. You want to keep doing what you're doing? Fine. You want this result? I think I can get you there. Want to try it? Sure. I mean, it completely changed my life, right? So that's how we were able to scale up so fast. Like my top month in my second agency, we did $409,000 in 1 month.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And Billy was like, bro, because that was, I think it was a little higher than he even did in the month. Yeah. And this was years later after he kind of pivoted and started to online education. But I mean, and I wasn't losing my mind. Like, we were enjoying it, So that really opened my eyes. I was like, this thing is like, Mach 2 with our hair on fire. It became a thing of its own.
Yeah. So let me kind of recap here. So in the first agency, you were basically taking on custom type work where you find a client that had a lot of money and they would tell you what to do, and you would do SEO, organic, Google, website building, anything they wanted.
Everything was custom work.
Yeah, everything was custom work. And you were the bottleneck because you were pretty much the only person that could lead the delivery.
100%.
And then when you switched to the new model, it was productized. Yep. It was one avatar with one specific result. Yep. And you chose a niche.
Yes.
Would you say those are some of the biggest differences?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you were to take an X-ray of the two, now here's the thing that most people can't. It sounds trivial to someone who's never gone through this before. So to give you an idea, I call this the sales fulfillment paradox, right? So if you are running your business and every time you get a yes, you get a sale, you're like, yes, okay, cool. I got a client to pay me money. If you had to hang the phone up and not be able to take any more sales calls, right? For like you just had Mike Barron on. Do you think that guy hangs up the phone and goes, "Oh, we got to"? No, that guy is on the phone all day, every day. He runs a sales organization, right? So in my previous agency, if I took 1 to 3 sales calls a month, that was kind of a busy month for me. And I get 1 or 2 yeses, and then we'd be focusing on fulfillment the rest of the entire time. It's like, how can you grow a company and stay ahead of the churn at that rate? It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's just math, right? So I don't care who you are, you will burn out in that scenario because the math just doesn't add up, right? So when the model's working against you, you're like a sinking ship. It's just kind of a matter of time before things fall apart. With my previous agency, we built more of what's called like a flywheel, meaning every time we got a client, not only did our business build momentum versus losing it, but we increased our scale because every time we got a client and we got them results, right when they were happiest, we'd say, awesome, can I get you on a quick Zoom and we're going to do a quick little testimonial video just to share your results with people. And then we would ask them if they would share it, and then, people would, and sometimes we would run ads to it, and people would see their peers getting success. And so we're not talking about how good we are anymore.
They're talking about how good you are.
Yes. So that we were pretty successful at turning like 1 client into 3 using that flywheel, and it just compounded from there.
Wow.
Right. And we could take on as many people as we really needed to because our fulfillment was mostly copy and paste fulfillment.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about my journey, if we can, because I think my journey is going to be kind of relatable to other agency owners.
Yes.
Okay. So the SaaSpreneur Award, right?
Yeah.
The 100 clients. I've set my sights, and I wish I had done it like 3 months earlier because it would have been a lock. But at this point, like I'm like fighting time in order to hit the deadline so that Sean Clark can give me this award, this stupid fucking cheap plaque, right? Stupid cheap plaque to give me that stupid plaque on stage. And it's crazy how much people will do for those things, like the 2 Kilometer Club Award and like these little plaques, right? They're so insignificant, like, but they're very significant in what they mean and what they've like what it means for what you've been able to accomplish. So I've set my sight on getting my first, getting to 100 active SaaS clients. And so I'm actually running through a lot of the same issues that you had in your first agency. I don't have a specific niche. And I am the one that's leading delivery because I consider myself a marketing expert, whatever. And so I have to be the one that creates the direction for the client that we're going to go in.
Right.
And so recently I came on a sales process that really works well for me. And for me, that's webinars.
Awesome.
I was doing the one-on-one sales thing, and it was just a hassle. It was a hassle to get people to show up on meetings. So my calendar was always full, but only like 40% would show up. So my day was shot for weeks at a time. And and then they would get on calls, but it would hard to actually close them on a deal. And so what I moved to was a one-to-many. And I thought, if I can get 3 people on a sales call and give them a presentation, that's much better than doing a one-to-one, because for leverage. And so what I started doing was I did a webinar every week, and I got 20 to 30 people on the call. Like at first I would have some organic stuff, and so I got like 80 or 90 people on a call, and that was cool. But then as time ran on, like the organic stuff ran out, and it was all cold traffic, and then I was like 30 people on a call on a webinar. And I was like, great, this works. Every webinar, I'm getting 5 to 8 new signups. But I don't want to do this every week now. Like, how can I want to move faster. I'm not going to hit my target. So I'm like, I'm going to do a webinar every single night. Russell Brunson said that, if you do a webinar for every week for 60 weeks, you'll create a 7-figure business. So I'm like, screw that. I'm doing a webinar every single night until I become a 7-figure entrepreneur. So my current strategy, and I don't know, I haven't seen anybody else do this, but maybe it's because it happens behind closed doors. But so I run webinar ads saying webinar tonight, 5 p.m. tonight. And the theory there is, instead of it's like if you schedule an appointment for 4 days out, what are the chances they show up? Compared to if we schedule a call for tonight, they're much more likely to actually show. So the theory was the show rates are going to be higher, engagement is going to be higher, and they have an itch that you can scratch more with a higher level of instant gratification. So nightly webinars, Monday through Thursday, not Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I feel like the attendance rates will be lower on those ones. So instead of doing 5 to 8 clients per week, now I'm getting 5 to 8 clients per night. And more realistically, some nights are better than others. I'll do between, 0. I've gotten 0 and sometimes 5 or 6 every single night. And so my offer is a $97, $97 intro package. And the software as a service is something that I'm learning as well. So instead of just offering service, like, I'm going to do this stuff for you, instead of just offering software where it's like, here, take this GoHighLevel and go run with it. It's like, I'm going to help you with a specific problem. And then here is the software that's going to help you get that. And so $97, which you get a coaching call with me, you get weekly office hours, you get a Facebook ads course, and you get the software. And so every night I'll get about between 1 and 5 or 6, and then as part of your package you get an onboarding call, and the onboarding call is essentially a sales call, where I help to give you full delivery. I lead with service, and then I transition like, this is great, this will get you the results, but let me ask you a question: do you really want to set all this up yourself, or do you want me to just do it for you? And I tell them, like, you're going to spend money on ads, you're going to run it for a couple of weeks, you're going to stop it because you didn't get results, make some changes, run it for a couple of weeks, stop it, make some changes, like, go through the courses, come to the office hours. It's going to be challenging for you. Do you want me to just do it for you? Set up your, like, that sounds way better. And boom, $1,000, and I even have a $5,000 offer. And I've been making some traction, and I'm in this really kind of awkward stage where I'm trying to not outsource, but handle the fulfillment, because I'm scaling way faster than I thought I would. I'm upgrading way more than I thought I would. And now I'm like in this fulfillment cycle where every time I get a client, I'm like, yay, but fuck. Now I have to make sure that I deliver for this client. And because I don't have a niche, every single client requires some creativity on my part, and so I can't basically do that out.
I love this topic. I know where you're headed with this. Can I jump in?
Please. Okay.
Yeah. So there's two. So with HighLevel now, remember when I had my second agency, the super successful one, I did not have HighLevel at my disposal.
Oh, really?
No, because it didn't exist until I sold it.
Okay.
Yeah. So right when I sold my agency, the beta group was like a month or two before I sold, and so it was really in its infancy. So here's what I would say is HighLevel is mature enough, meaning the stability and the features and the speed and everything are there now enough to where you can come. There's kind of two ways to niche down, so to speak. One can be by vertical or industry, like I did with gyms, meaning I know I can get results for any gym that looks like this, right? So a certain size, certain sales type, certain operations, certain price point. Like we know we can just come in and get results, right? The other way that you can do it, and I love this for most people, especially people who are in the growth, like the initial growth stage of their SaaS, is to solve by problem. And what I mean by that is the thing that I recommend people do first is every small business on the planet has a speed to lead problem. Meaning they do not follow up with the leads fast enough because they've got a million other things going on. Think about your average business owner who's, local business owner in any niche. They're running around with their head cut off all day. I mean, just an example of a gym owner, because I was used to working with them. They're like cleaning the toilets, sweeping the floors, mopping the floors, ordering new equipment, jumping in because an instructor, no-showed on them and they've got to teach a class, answering the phone, signing people up, canceling people, trying to save cancellation. It's just endless, right? So how in the world, if you're a marketer and you get them a lead, how in the world are you going to get them to respond to the lead in 1 minute or less, or 5 minutes or less, or even 15 minutes or less? It just doesn't happen. So I made a career off of solving that problem for them. That's the reason why our gym package took off, was because all we did was follow up with leads super quickly that were inbound. And then we did a database reactivation strategy where we took all their warm leads that already knew, liked, and trust them, had opted in previously, and we would do an outbound remarketing campaign to them to generate new sales appointments. We only did those two things for our clients, and we made millions, right?
Wow.
So like with HighLevel now, you can set this up once. It might take an hour to set that up for them. And then from then on out, it's pretty much pre-scheduled for the client. So with 1 hour of fulfillment, you can begin solving the speed to lead problem for a much larger group of businesses that does not require custom work on your part. So, for example, like if they don't have a website chat widget, easy win. If they don't have missed call text back, easy win. If they don't have their social profiles connected so that the DMs from their social profiles go into the conversation stream and the automation responds to them immediately, that's an easy win. Guys, and I'm telling you, like, no local businesses, you can just walk down the street and go to their website and try this stuff. Almost nobody has this set up properly. True. Like, it's shocking how many businesses are still open that do not have these things installed in their business. So like I had a client, his name's Chuck. He's a great guy. Hired me to coach him up. And one of the first things he did was he's like, hey, I've got some friends in the roofing niche. Like they own roofing businesses. Some of these guys have like 1 truck. Some of these guys have like 10. It just kind of varies. So he gets on the phone with one of these guys, and the guy had a website that ranked decently. So he's getting some inbound traffic from it and did a good job. Like he's got a good business, has a good reputation, all that. But Chuck goes to his website, opts in, and he goes, okay, where did that lead go? Right. This is the first thing he talks to this guy about. And the guy literally says, those leads go to a pile to die somewhere. And I was like, that's hilarious and sad at the same time, but so typical for your average local business. He had no idea where that form submission was going to. He didn't even have an idea of how to look it up after the fact.
Oh my goodness.
And so it took Chuck 15 minutes to install the form on his website. He didn't touch his website otherwise. He just replaced the form, had that going into HighLevel, immediately responded to the leads. The guy got 3 roofing leads in 24 hours.
Wow.
A roof is like, I don't know, 10 grand, 20 grand. Yeah. So, and so that guy's going to pay Chuck $700 or $800 just for the software for life. He's never going to go back to the old way. Yeah. Right. So I would recommend to you and to anybody who's in a similar phase that you're at, if you just focus on solving the speed to lead problem, you can get out of custom work, and it's still worth a lot of money to these clients. So you can do most of the things I just described in an hour or less once you run through it a time or two on your own, which you're probably super capable of at this point. So think about that. You can keep a client and get them to pay you that $1,000. Hey, I'll set this up for you, $1,000, so you get paid up front for your time, and you can afford to keep acquiring customers. And then they're going to keep that on for as long as they're still getting business from it, right? So you get the back end of like the SaaS, the retention, the monthly recurring revenue, you're going to build the continuity up over time. That's just going to stack month after month instead of the opposite problem, which is, hey, I have to start over from 0 every month and try to beat my last goal, which means I got to hustle even harder, right? And I can tell you that after a while, the monthly recurring revenue becomes your best friend. It's going to be your favorite, right? So I would consider focusing on that. That's also really easy to teach another person, so that you can get out of that part and just be like, here's how the calls go. It's a bit of a service-led sales call, an upgrade call. But if they don't want to do all this stuff, like you're giving them the recipe to get it done, and you're giving them the tool to get it done. But if they want us to pull the trigger on it for them, this is awesome. Like you can get the sale, and then you're only going to spend an hour servicing the client, and it's pretty much hands-free after that.
I love that, because I've really been hesitant to choose a business because I don't want to be stuck. Yeah. I have experience. I also own a pressure washing company, and I kind of keep that as my playground, as like my proof now. Yeah. So I tell the story about how I started my pressure washing company from a viral TikTok. And I made a testing TikTok side hustle video, and it got like 3 million views. And I just thought, well, I guess I'm making TikTok pressure washing content now. Yeah. And from that, I was able to use what I already know about marketing and automation and scale my business from 0 to nearly $500,000 my first calendar year. And then this year, we're on track to do nearly double, do probably close around 800,000, depending on how the off season goes. Dude. In a pressure washing company in a town of 26,000 people, and I run it remotely. It's 14 hours away from here, and I'm the CEO hat, and I just kind of like manage the payroll and the marketing. And so I tell that story, and I kind of use that as my proof. But I don't really want to be stuck into just doing pressure washing companies. Yeah. I feel like the market is much bigger. So I've been hesitant to get into a specific niche However, a niche can also be a specific problem.
Yes.
I never thought about that before. I love that.
Yeah, because if you look at, they have all these stats on. So there was a study that MIT and HubSpot did when HubSpot was first kind of coming out.
Yeah.
And it was all about
Speed to lead. I show this study all the time. Please.
Yeah. Okay, so you know the study. So this is definitely something you should link up, because I think, again, this is one of those things that people have told me that it helps the light bulb click on and understand this. But like, there's just, I think it's, you have a 900% higher chance of connecting with a lead if you get to them within 5 minutes or less. Mm-hmm. And it's 600% higher if you get to them within 15 minutes or less. I've heard that there's some other studies being done that are just coming out that show the data now for like more, because that was like over 10 years ago. But you know, when I'm talking to a guy like Mike Cooch, who's been doing this for 3 decades, he's like, that's always been a problem. They just didn't have the studies then, but anyone who's got the experience of being in this type of business knows that that is the game, right? Mm-hmm. Like Hormozi understands that. Everybody who's ever been in that business understands that. But the average client is somewhat numb to that. It's like they kind of have a sense of it because they know when they can pick up the phone, like they can make another sale. But they also have all these other problems. It's like, you know, it's an unwinnable feeling when there's like 58 other problems, you know, fires to put out. So it's both education and ability to execute that is lacking. And I think that's where the easiest windfall by a mile is for both you and them before you consider doing creative crap, which is usually not going to work. You know, just solve that problem. It's the easiest win. They'll start getting results the next day. And, you know, you can just keep it on. Like they're going to pay you to keep the lights on. So you become almost like the utility bill. Well, it's really hard to say, yeah, I'm going to stop paying my water bill. Now I'm not going to have plumbing. It's really hard to say, yeah, I'm not going to pay my electric bill because the lights are going to be off and we can't shoot this podcast. In the same way, you're like, if you want the leads to keep getting followed up with automatically without you guys having to stop your entire operation, yeah, it's like $700 a month or whatever you charge. Mm-hmm. You know, and they'll go, okay. And then they go like, well, how much business am I actually getting from this? Well, look, you got 36 new sales opportunities for $700. Look back to when before you were with us, it was like 1 or 2. You know, It's like, it's up to you. But if we shut this off, that goes away. It's pretty painful to say, okay, I want to shut it off after that, right? Yeah. So that problem it's by far like people come in with all kinds of crazy creative stuff, and I love the innovation. But I'm like, cool, did you solve the speed to lead problem first? Because that's the easiest win by a mile for you and for them. Yeah. So I recommend doing that first. And then if you even want to do the creative stuff, you have the optionality. I prefer to say no to it so I can go help more people with the solving the speed to lead problem. Mm-hmm. That's my preference because I'd rather be on the beach instead of messing with clients, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay. So I want to ask a few questions about your journey in growing your agency.
Sure.
And this is one of the biggest kind of questions that we see. And it's, I'm just going to ask it. How do you get more clients for your agency?
So this goes back to that flywheel concept I was talking about before. So when we first started out, it was hustle. So your first 3 clients, let's just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
And I'll break this up because it does change with each phase of business you're in. I started off, and I still think this is crazy useful. I got my iPhone out, opened up my contacts list. I said, how many contacts do I have? I think at the time it was like, when I first started my agency, it was like 500 or 600 people. And I made a big list of it. I'm like, who do I feel comfortable asking to connect me with someone who might be a good client? So the way that I framed it was, I'm not necessarily approaching these people to ask them directly because a lot of people have problems with asking like a close friend or maybe a relative to do business with them for various reasons. And I totally understand that. I didn't have anybody in my family or close friends that ran businesses that I could help or wanted to help. But I knew that I had friends and family who knew someone who did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I literally drafted this. I spent probably half an hour on like crafting this message, but I said, hey, I'm launching a new business. I'm looking to help 1 to 3 clients for free, get them results risk-free to them. There's literally I'm not asking for anything in return. And I'm looking for businesses that look like this. So I listed them by niche or by problem now. Would be great. And at the end I said, the only thing I'm going to ask in return from them is if I can get them results, if they give me a testimonial video. So my payment on those first 3 was the testimonial video, not money, right? And then I said, and if for some reason I cannot get them results, then they owe me nothing, and we part ways. But so it's literally risk free for them. I'm going to bring them free business, essentially. So I started sending that out. So I'm asking them to connect me with someone who looks like that, right? So it's a really easy ask. You're not pressuring them. They don't feel weird, awkward, So one of my friends who's crazy well connected, she sent me like 12 people. And I ended up getting my first handful of clients from that. And then a couple other people gave me some leads, and I posted it on Facebook, and some people came out of the woodwork from that. So that's literally where I got my first handful of clients from. And I was willing to work for free in order to get the testimonials because I knew this flywheel concept was, powerful. In my first agency, I totally dropped the ball. I didn't use it as much as I should. But in my second agency, it was literally my plan. It was like, that's my marketing plan is, get on the phone with a client, get a yes, get them a result, get them to record their testimonial, and then put that out there. And it just, we're going to turn one client into 3 or try our darndest, right? So once I got that handful of clients, I began humble bragging on the people that I got the results for. So it could have been like I worked with some real estate agents. I blew up their open house. It was ridiculous how much business they got from it. And then I'd start to say, hey, do you want to continue to pay me to keep doing this? And they'd be like, oh no, I could wait till this closes or whatever the case may be. I'm like, okay, bye. But I used the crap out of that testimonial. And then, so that rolled into my first wave of paying clients. And anytime somebody pays, they pay more attention.
Yes.
And so we ended up getting better results from that batch of clients, but I did the same thing. So I think I started charging like $500 a month at the beginning. And so I would do a wave of those guys. Then when I get them results the next month or 2, I go, okay, I'm going to increase my prices and humble brag on this batch instead. So even if someone had seen something previous, like these results were better and the clients were better. And so that created this snowball effect, right? So I did that on a very small scale in my first agency. Again, I was so in the weeds with fulfillment in my first agency, I didn't even have time to think about doing this. In my second agency, it was a required step for me and my team to do these things. We didn't get a yes all the time. Sometimes the results were lackluster, but we had enough good things happening to where we had hundreds of testimonials, written, screenshot, Facebook group, on video, people sending us visuals, like reports and sales reports. Like we turned one guy, this guy, Chris, he basically gave up on client acquisition in December because that's a slow time for gyms. So he had 0 new sales appointments in December, the previous year. He came in, he had a great list, great business, great reputation. We did a database reactivation campaign for him and got him 450 appointments in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Without ad spend. So he went from like not even on the leaderboard for the title boxing franchises to number 2 in the world the next month in January. So dude, all I did was start talking about that. And then we would get other gym owners who go, dude, I want that result. Right?
Yeah.
So did we run ads? Yes. Did we do organic marketing? Yes. Did we start list building? Yes. We did all the things that we were supposed to be doing, but what was way more important than that was what went into it.
Wow.
Right?
Amazing.
So you've got enough clients right now to start doing that.
Yeah.
So
I'm not doing that.
Well, there's your strategy right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the easiest windfall ever because instead of you saying how good you are, their peers are telling them how good you are.
Amazing.
Much more powerful, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so this went by super fast. We're already 11:15, and I wish we could have a whole other hour. Yeah. But so I want to talk a couple things. First, I want to ask what what mentorship has meant to you along your journey.
Oh man. Okay, so this kind of goes back to that conversation I had with Mike Cooch because that one really stuck with me. Like, hire someone who's achieved the result that you want and shut everything else out. So I've kind of become obsessed with that methodology. So I've had a lot of good mentors. I've gotten very, very lucky. Like if I call Billy Jean right now, he's like, yo, dude, you okay? And I'm like, bro, that's so cool, right? But he was my mentor for a long time through the agency thing. And actually, exposed him to HighLevel back when they'd first started. So like the roles kind of reversed in this cool way. You know, so we become more like peers and friends now, but the mentorship part has been like, picture it this way. Picture you only have so many years of your life to figure things out. And in this day and age, you've got the sea of information. So that's not really what's valuable. You can look anything up on YouTube. What mentorship really does is it cuts down the learning curve and gives you all the shortcuts. So it collapses time essentially.
Yeah.
So what used to take you 5 years might only take you 1 year. What used to take 5 years sometimes only takes 1 month now, right? Like think about how hard I had to work to arrive at that result for the gym. That was like a 6-year period. Now people are walking into HighLevel and in the first month lapping what I did in 6 years.
Wow.
Right? So, and that's a tool, an example of a tool, but I view mentorship the same way. Can this person help me collapse time? Right? Because after your basic needs are met, that is the most important asset that you have as a person, is your time, right? So I didn't buy the Lambo. I didn't buy the big house. I didn't, I'm not a person who finds a lot of value in material things anyway. Like I love the minimalism lifestyle. I love traveling. I love surfing. I love, being with my kids, spending time with them, being present. So in order to get all the things done that I want to get done in my lifetime, and that's different for everyone, I've hired a spiritual coach. I've hired several business coaches. I've hired someone to help me with email deliverability. I've hired someone to help me pack up my house when like anything that will, and I know these are not all mentorship. I'm just trying to tell you the North Star for me has always, previous to that, had always been work hard. And I grew up lower middle class, like a lot of people who are like short on money, like money and finding my next meal was always on my mind for most of my life. And then like 8 years ago, it flip-flopped and I was like, oh, now time is my biggest asset. So when time is your biggest asset, you have to invest in collapsing that time so you can get everything done in the period of time that you want. And that mentorship has been a huge part of that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these days you are now a mentor to other people.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do? How is it that you help other people today?
So I used to have a really big coaching program, big organization. We were helping thousands of people a year. And I've since scaled that back. I took like 7 months off this year to help my mom move out to Alabama, where we live now, from San Diego, which was really cool, and be present for more of my kids' stuff. So I was feeling a little burnt out on the big coaching program, and I was like, let me try to scale this back and see how that feels. So I ran a much smaller, much more intimate group of coaching program enrollees this past year, and that's actually like my favorite, because instead of a volume play, it's more like I can help people more individually and be more selective about who I work with. And then the other change I made was I made most of my other stuff really accessible, meaning like I don't sell like expensive courses anymore. I made all of my IP, every class that I've ever taught online and in person, I made available to get started for just $100. So I put all that into a membership site. And for people who want access to my methods and templates and downloads and snapshots and like sales scripts, reactivation scripts, two-step landing pages, everything we've ever created, it's all in one place and super accessible. I also have a free group where I give, I'm known for the database reactivation technique. Yeah. And so that I brought that into HighLevel and it kind of like diffused out from there. So I just give that away for free in my group, and it's online for free and stuff, because that's like in under an hour, you can get your client a good result. And you really don't need any tech experience. Like you can just follow along. They're like 5 or 6 minute videos. You can click, click, click. Okay, did that step. Cool, did that step. And boom, you've run a reactivation campaign for yourself or a client. So it's gotten more accessible at the bottom, meaning like for beginners or people who are just seeing if they like this kind of thing or want to try it. And then for the people who are still serious and want to invest in that mentorship and build the same business I did, whether that's affiliate, consulting and coaching, or agency, I've got a tighter, smaller, tight-knit group for that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, this has been great. I wish we had so much more time, but we're out of time for today. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, man. I'll come back next year.
Great. Can't wait for that. Yeah. After I have my award,
Attaboy.
I'll be at a different stage. Probably see you in the summit, right?
Well, let me stop right there. You will get the award.
I'm going to get my
award. You will
award.
hit your goal.
Yes.
And I will for sure see you on stage.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. How can people get a hold of you?
So I have my free group is probably the best way. You can just find me on Facebook, but I spell my first name with 2 B's. So it's robbbailey.com/group. So it's ROBBBAILEY.com/group. And you can find all the info you want in there.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, man.
It's been a pleasure.
Of course.
Thanks for having me. Until next year.
Yeah, man.
All right. Out.